Right, fabulous. You're live on YouTube. Hi, everybody out there on YouTube. Welcome to this beautiful call today. Let me just make sure I have my audio in place. There we go. Okay, very good. So I will welcome you all in a minute. And yes, please put your name and location in the chat, whether you're on Zoom, whether you're on YouTube, put your name and location in there. And let's all light our candles and burn our sage or Palo Santo or whatever you have. I have my little altar space right behind me here, and I'm just going to light some Palo Santo for all of us. And if you don't have any of those things, it's okay. It's all good. I will send you some across all time and space here. Palo Santo takes a moment, you know. There we go. So here is our beautiful Palo Santo burning. And Palo Santo is just wonderful for clearing the space, opening sacred space. And I always like to do figure eights with the Palo Santo. So I'm sending this to you across all time and space, everybody, as we open our circle here together today. It is a magical moment. It is a very powerful time right now. And so wherever you are all around the world, thank you for joining. And I can't wait to share these updates with you today. Mid-August astrology update. Okay, we'll let that keep burning. So welcome Jen in Colorado. Welcome Jillian in the UK. Welcome Richmond near London. Steve in South Dakota. Steve in Vermont. Welcome both Steves. Welcome Rama in California. Aza in Puerto Rico, hello. Welcome Cheryl in Atlanta, Mel in Nottingham, UK, Sarah in Hitchin, UK, Angel in Italy, welcome, welcome. Welcome Jody in Illinois, Jesse in Massachusetts, Amy in South Florida, Robbie in San Diego, Elisa in Italy. Yay, so many people here, wonderful. Welcome to everybody, and let me go check over on YouTube. Hello, John in Florida. Hello, Rick in Pennsylvania. Lynn in Los Angeles. Wonderful. And also all of those who will be watching this later on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, I have powerful stuff to share today. So we're going to be moving into the new moon in Leo. I will share with you about that. We are right at the center point of the Venus retrograde. Okay, so we have, you know, I'm going to have some interesting invitations for you to ponder what's been coming through for you. And we're about to move into the Mercury retrograde as well. And we'll also look at the Venus cycle, which is this beautiful 5-pointed flower or star over an 8-year period. So I have so much to share. Let's dive right in by starting with, and I'll share my screen with the chart for the exact time of this Venus and Sun conjunction that just happened on August 13th. And we're still in the energy of this. And this was actually the exact moment that a brand new 8-year Venus cycle was kicked off. So this is really significant. So for this Venus-Sun conjunction, we have Venus and the Sun both at 20 degrees and 28 minutes of Leo. Now, this whole Venus retrograde is really, really important and is going to be affecting you very strongly if you have planets or significant points in your birth chart between, let's see, really it's the whole sign of Leo, but it's particularly strong from 12 to 28 degrees of Leo. Okay, and in addition, if you have planets or points between 12 to 28 degrees of the fire signs, okay, so that would be Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius, this is really positive for you. And if you have planets or points between 12 to 28 degrees of the fixed signs, so that's Taurus, Leo, I'm not including Leo in that actually, Taurus, Scorpio, or Aquarius, this could be more challenging for you because then this Venus retrograde is squaring or opposing some of your key planets. But always it is for our highest evolution, okay? So the Venus cycle. And I'm going to actually switch slides here for a minute because the reason that Venus is coming into conjunction with the sun, as she did on August 13th, is because this is a really key part in her cycles. So I want to share with you just a few slides that I have that will really help to clarify about these Venus cycles. So August 13th completes an old cycle of Venus, an 8-year cycle that was going on since 2016. And during that cycle from 2016 to right now, 2023, Venus made 5 inferior conjunctions with the sun. Now, I'll explain what that means in a minute, but those are the 5 times that, see, this is like this beautiful did you have spirographs as a kid? It's this beautiful, looks like a spirograph design, but this is the design and the sacred geometrical pattern that Venus makes in the sky over an 8-year period of her times that she's going retrograde and slowing down and then going direct and speeding back up again. To illustrate this even more, I'm going to share a video with you. And this is just a silent video. This is from Earth Sky. And it's a really good, clear, yeah, here we go. It's a really good, clear representation of how Venus moves around. So if you look at what's happening in this video, Venus is the small white dot that you see, and the sun is the larger yellow dot. And so the sun is very regular in its trip around the zodiac. And this is representing the whole 360-degree zodiac that they're both moving around as seen from the point of view of us on the Earth in the center. This is the Earth in the center. Okay. And so as seen from the Earth, Venus has some points, and this always happens when she's retrograde, where she moves into the center, as you see right here. She comes very close to Earth. And so she actually comes between the sun and the Earth. There was another one right there. All right. And she has these other times when she's swinging way out around the other side of the sun, as we see her from Earth. And over an 8-year cycle, there will be 5 times that she's retrograde and having what is called an inferior conjunction, which is when she comes around this little point really, really close to the Earth. And then she will have multiple other times when she's swinging way out to the outer extended areas of this cycle. And when she's conjunct the sun in the outer areas, it's called a superior conjunction. But we're really concerned with these inferior, there's one right there, see? We're really concerned with these inferior conjunctions where she's making this beautiful 5-pointed star or 5-pointed, 5-petaled rose in this center close to Earth. So it's very beautiful and very fascinating. And Venus is the planet of beauty and love and what we most deeply desire. And the fact that as she moves through these cycles, as seen from Earth specifically, she forms this beautiful rose or star in the sky. It's really incredible. So let's I'll show you a couple more slides with some really fascinating information about the Venus cycles. Let me get back to my slides. Here we go. Okay, so oops, we want to be here. Okay, so as I mentioned, those inferior conjunctions, which form those inner 5-pointed star or flower pattern, always occur when Venus is retrograde and comes closest to the Earth. So that is exactly what just happened on August 13th. She's moving retrograde. She passes the sun at this point that's very, very close to the Earth. She's right between the Earth and the sun. And in this case, this 2023 inferior conjunction kicks off a new cycle that will complete 8 years from now. Okay, it's finishing up the previous 8-year cycle that was since 2016. It's starting a whole new 8-year cycle. Now, interestingly, Venus never goes more than 48 degrees of the zodiac away from the sun. So we see this action happening that each time she gets 48 degrees away, the sun kind of pulls her back toward itself, and she will have another conjunction with the sun, right? As seen from our viewpoint on Earth. And that's what creates Venus's retrograde and forward motion. We see the same kind of thing with Mercury too. Mercury never goes, I think it's more than 24 degrees away from the sun, right? So Mercury gets pulled back with really frequent retrogrades 3 times a year. So Venus retrogrades occur every 18 months or 5 times in an 8-year cycle. And that's the 5 times that we saw that form the 5-petaled flower or star. Now, Venus retrograde lasts 40 days, and it's believed to be the cycle that led to the 40 days and 40 nights reflection or initiation periods that we see written in the Bible and other ancient texts. Very interesting, right? We will also notice when we're observing the nighttime sky that over this 8-year period of a Venus cycle, Venus alternates between being a morning star and an evening star, okay, in alignment with her retrograde period. So 5 times that she shifts between morning and evening star. Every morning star and every evening star phase lasts about 260 days. So previous to August 13th, Venus was an evening star. Now, when she gets far enough away from the sun, which we'll see in a couple of weeks, she's going to emerge as the morning star once again, and will stay as a morning star for about 260 days before she comes back close to the sun and turns to an evening star again. Now, in the ancient mythology, this is so fascinating. There were certain goddesses associated with the planet Venus, such as Inanna, Ishtar, Astarte, and the Sumerian goddess Ninsiana. And the story that you probably have all heard of, the descent of Inanna into the underworld, okay? And this is an ancient Sumerian text, which is super beautiful. It holds deep symbolic meaning for our initiatory journeys as human beings, was written because of the association of Inanna with Venus, right? And recognizing these underworld journeys that Venus goes through very, very regularly throughout her 8-year cycle. And so when Venus is really close to the sun, as she is right now, okay, in the sky, we can't see Venus. When any planet or star is too close to the sun, we can't see them, okay? So in the ancient times, and we can still say this today, it's considered that that star or that planet is in the underworld because they seem to disappear. And so at that time, when Venus would be in the underworld in ancient Sumeria, as they were observing this in the sky, it was said that Inanna was going on her dark journey into the underworld. And this was written about. And the reason that we still know of this story today is because of an amazing woman in Hedjuana. She's the first known female writer, okay? And she wrote these beautiful texts and prayers of ancient Sumeria, including the descent of Inanna into the underworld. So we are very grateful for her for being prolific with her writing. And we have this beautiful text today. I welcome you to look it up and read it. It's really incredibly beautiful. And so certain priestesses were dedicated to Inanna, or outside of Sumeria, they were dedicated to Ishtar, Astarte, these other goddesses. And what's really powerful is that they would enter their training as a priestess at a very young age, when they were very young girls, when Venus appeared at a certain point in the morning sky. Okay, because that training, that priestess training, had to be in alignment with the cycles of Venus. Isn't that so beautiful and amazing? So Valerie, that's so interesting. So Valerie is observing how her health has changed over, a particular period of time, specifically 8 years. So yes, if you think about what was happening for you in 2015, 2016, that we were ending the last Venus cycle and starting this one, you might be able to see a pattern Okay, and this would be particularly as related to our bodies, our physical being, because Venus rules Taurus. Okay. And especially what we most deeply need, like what we're most deeply longing for. And maybe we've allowed ourselves to have that, or maybe we haven't allowed ourselves to have that. But Venus really, truly represents how we value ourselves and how we allow ourselves to receive and what we most deeply desire to bring into our life. Okay, so let's go back to the chart. Those Venus cycles, it's incredible. I welcome you all to research more about that. There's so much more, that I don't have time for to get all the way into it today. Maybe I'll do a special report on that another time. But we can see here on August 13th, just a couple days ago at the time of this recording, Venus and the sun were having Venus was having her inferior conjunction with the sun, where she's in that position in the very, very inner point of the star or the flower, where she's right between the sun and the earth. And that's why we see her conjunct with the sun. So let me just take a look at my notes here so I make sure I'm getting everything I wanted to tell you. So with this Venus conjuncting the sun and the Venus retrograde, okay, which started on July 22nd and it will go till September 3rd, I invite you all to really do some powerful reflection today and tomorrow, or as soon as you can, about what this Venus retrograde has been bringing into your life. And so we've traversed the first half, the first 20 days of Venus retrograde, and we have about 20 days left to go. And so at this midpoint time in the retrograde cycle, it's really important to think about what are the messages that have come through to you? What are maybe some surprising things that have happened that have been revealing deep truths to you? The reason that surprise is important here is that we have Venus at 20 degrees of Leo, square to Uranus. Uranus is the planet of surprises, and he's at 22 degrees of Taurus. And throughout most of this retrograde, Venus has been and will continue to be squaring Uranus. So is there something surprising that happened that maybe took you off guard, or maybe it was a really pleasant surprise and you realized, oh my gosh, this is what I've been most deeply longing for and I didn't even know, What are the messages that Venus has been sending to you? Now, the things that Venus wants us to focus on are what is deepest in your heart. What do you really, truly need? All right. And so during this retrograde, she's going to be showing you things and revealing things that maybe were hidden before, to help you understand what you most deeply need, to help you understand what is deepest in your heart. And then she's going to send you synchronicities and new opportunities and things like that to help you fully receive what you really need, what you really desire, especially once she goes direct again on September 3rd. The retrograde time, though, is a time for us to really review, reflect, recalibrate, rethink, rewrite, all of the RE words. So it's a time to go within, it's a time to see what the messages are, and really come to a deep understanding of what maybe you want to change in your life or what you want to do in a new way going forward. Because then after September 3rd, when she's direct again, you'll be much more able to take those actions. Venus is also about prosperity and abundance and financial abundance. So she might be awakening in your heart a new understanding of what true prosperity really means for you, right? This is another aspect that you could be moving into right now. So I welcome you to journal or reflect or, in some way, really go deeply into this and see what has she been sending to you, what has she been telling you, and what's most important about that you want to carry forward into her post-retrograde time so you can take actions and really make those changes. Okay, let me just check the chats here. Allison, Venus is with your North Node. Yeah, well, that's really important for your future. That's a very powerful placement there. Let me see. Okay, thanks to all for the beautiful comments on the YouTube live. Welcome, welcome Jan and Mallory. Glad to see you here. Welcome Lynn. And welcome Witch Goddess. I love your name over there on YouTube. Okay, wonderful. So let's continue. So what I'm going to do next is put in the dates. Move my screen around here. I'm going to put in the dates of our new moon in Leo that's coming up. So this will be August 16th at 5:38 a.m. New York time. I'm going to go to August 16th. 5:38 a.m. Okay. So here's the chart for our beautiful new moon in Leo. And so, of course, this is happening very close to Venus. The new moon is conjunct Venus in this chart. We have the sun and the moon at 23 degrees of Leo. We have Venus at 18 degrees of Leo, and we have Black Moon Lilith here at 24 degrees of Leo. Black Moon Lilith represents our revolutionary and rebellious feminine nature. Okay, so this is like the very, very fierce feminine rising up and wanting to change things, wanting to make really big changes and shifts and adjustments in our life. So not only do we have Venus over here on one side of the new moon asking us, what do you most deeply desire? What is your heart longing for? But we also have Black Moon Lilith saying, tear it all down. And really inviting us into a sort of fierceness and courage and willingness to get out of our comfort zone and change. Not only that, but this new moon is exactly square to Uranus. So with sun and moon at 23 degrees of Leo, we have Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus. This is no small thing, okay? To have all of these feminine energies over here. We have Black Moon Lilith, the moon, and Venus all around the sun. And then the more masculine energy of Uranus, all of them calling for change. Okay, because Uranus again is the planet of surprises, unexpected things that we never saw coming. And these can be positive or negative. So there's an invitation here at this new moon to really trust any surprises that show up, whether they are fun for you or not so enjoyable. And really, it can be either one. You know, with Venus there, we can be gifted something that we never even imagined could be possible for us. Or we can have something really shift in a way that's not pleasant. And honestly, this, I'll be sending out information to the Sacred Planet community tomorrow about an amazing fundraiser for Maui, right? As we're looking at all of this energy of shock and surprise, squaring Venus and squaring the new moon, right? This is also the energy that we've been in as the very, very devastating events in Maui have been happening. And let's just take a moment today, right now, and send prayers to Maui. And what I invite you to do actually for this is to focus on your heart and place your hands in prayer position right in front of your heart. See what prayers for Maui are rising up in your heart, coming to the surface. And then use your hands and just kind of gather those prayers in your hands. And when you're ready, you can start raising your hands up. And once they get all the way to the top, okay, you can open them like a lotus flower and send. So up at the top here, we're going to send those prayers out and see them showering down upon everyone in need in Maui, everyone in the world that's been affected by that disaster in different ways. And we can send so much love. Our prayers, our collective prayers are very, very powerful. So I invite you to really send those out right now. As I mentioned, an amazing fundraiser is happening on Thursday, and I'm going to send you all notice about it tomorrow so you can join. So this Uranian energy, you know, it can be unpleasant surprises as well. So part of the invitation here with this new moon is really trust what's showing up in your own life, whether it's an amazing new development that you never even dared to hope for, it's so incredible, or it's something shocking that you didn't want. Really trust that you are being guided by the stars and the planets and the sun and the moon into your highest evolution. Okay. And I hope it will be pleasant surprises for all of us, especially with the Venus retrograde, because Venus really brings love and beauty and abundance. But when she's retrograde, it can be asking us to recalibrate and rethink around those themes in our life. Now, this is actually a super manifesting new moon. Okay, because Venus is working in our favor here as she is conjunct the new moon, to bring us confidence, love, creativity, self-love, valuing ourselves more highly, abundance and prosperity, and more. Okay, so this is not, so there's an interesting push-pull here. There's an interesting push-pull going on with this new moon between taking action, because we may be very inspired to take action with it being a new moon time. That's usually a great time to take action, right? And with the rebellious nature of Black Moon Lilith, you know, kind of pushing us ahead, like, go ahead, do it, get out of your comfort zone. And Uranus saying the same thing, right? But also with the Venus retrograde, we might not be ready. We might want to keep it secret for a little longer. So I really invite you to trust your own intuition about whether it's the right time right now to take action on whatever is coming through for you. Really trust. Some of us might be ready to take a big action. Others might really just know that we need to wait a little longer. So trust what's coming through for you. And you can even have conversations with Venus. I really highly recommend that, especially this time. Connect in with Venus, see how she advises you, you know, see what she recommends for you. And whatever you decide to do, whether you take an action or not, just know that you're really being shown things that you need to see right now, things that you need to be aware of, things that maybe you need to understand in a new way for your future and for your life. Okay, so that's the new moon, and it's a really powerful one. If you do choose to take action with this new moon, you will have the forces of the universe at your back, okay? As long as you're following your intuition on that. I definitely recommend setting very strong intentions at this new moon. It's an amazing time to set intentions. It's an amazing time to write down what you truly most deeply need and want to bring into your life, and ways that you can bring in more self-love, more self-care, more valuing of your gifts and your essential nature, okay? So really set clear intentions around those themes, because you will be very supported in receiving what you need and want over the upcoming 6 months, and even over the upcoming 8 years, you know, as we're beginning a new Venus cycle. It's a powerful beginning time to have both the new moon and the beginning of the Venus cycle happening all at once, or just, you know, within 3 days of each other, is very close together. Okay, so the next piece that we're going to look at is the Mercury retrograde. So at this moment, this new moon, Mercury is not retrograde yet, and that's why I say it can be a great time to take action, actually. But once Mercury goes retrograde, you will want to, you know, probably not be doing a, you know, whole bunch of huge, big new actions for 3 weeks while Mercury is in his retrograde motion. So this will be August 23rd at 3:59 p.m. Let's go to that chart. This is 3:59 p.m. Eastern time, New York time. Okay, so let's take a look at this chart. This is the moment that Mercury changes direction. Okay, so Mercury has been moving forward. And if you see, Mars and Mercury are pretty close together. So Mercury is getting closer and closer to Mars, but all of a sudden he's going to stop, change direction, and start moving backwards. Again, this is all as seen from the Earth. So the shadow period for this retrograde actually started on August 4th. So these themes may have already been showing up for you. And I'll tell you what the themes of this Mercury retrograde in Virgo will be in just a minute. But what I want to note first of all is it is really important that the Mercury retrograde and the Venus retrograde are overlapping, because Venus is still going to be in retrograde motion through September 3rd. September 3rd is when she changes direction and goes direct again. And so this is a deep invitation, once again, into all of those RE words, okay? Rethink, recalibrate, redo, rewrite. So this is what the retrogrades invite us into, is it feels a little bit like backward movement. It feels like, wow, I'm realizing what I need to do differently. I'm realizing what I need to recalibrate, or come to a new understanding around. So with both Venus and Mercury retrograde, it's a really significant time to be doing that inner reflection and figuring out what messages are they bringing to you. Okay, so interestingly, with this Mercury retrograde, the sun, as you can see, has just moved into Virgo. The sun is at 0 degrees of Virgo when Mercury changes direction. So, so the Virgo energy is strong. It's not only the Virgo energy from Mercury, it's also the Virgo energy of Mars here. It's also the Virgo energy of the sun. So what is Virgo all about? There's kind of 2 levels to Virgo. The first level, and the more basic level, is that Virgo rules our health, our daily habits, our daily routines. And if we think about it, our daily habits, our daily routines make us who we are, including our health. And so it's definitely about our patterns, our habits, our routines. And it's also about an analytical nature. It's very it's very much about like the mental processes around that in one way. Virgo is an earth sign, okay? And so it's about this grounded nature of like, okay, how am I approaching this on a daily basis? How am I analyzing this? How am I thinking about it? People with strong Virgo placements have a very advanced analytical ability, and usually are people who pay very close attention to detail. Right. So that's what Virgo is about on the basic level, but there's a deeper level to Virgo, because Virgo, as the constellation that we see in the sky, is the priestess. And interestingly, this is actually the largest constellation. It takes up far more than 30 degrees of the zodiac, the Virgo priestess constellation. And so there's this deeper level to Virgo that is about the ancient sacred sites and the ancient priests and priestesses in the temples who knew how to hold the powerful rituals and ceremonies, and who were deeply, deeply connected with the earth. Again, Virgo's an earth sign. So this is about our earth connection and our deep sacred earth connection, right? And it's really about the sacredness of life, the sacredness of the earth, the ley lines, the sacred sites being positioned at very key points on those ley lines, and the priests and priestesses, the humans who throughout all of time have known how to work with those energetics. Okay. So Virgo is not just about analysis. All right. There's this much deeper level there. So with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, here are some of the themes that might be coming up for you. And this will be from August 23rd until September 15th, when Mercury goes direct again. So with this being an earth sign, we do want to tune into what feels heavy or burdensome in your life. What feels too much weighing you down, right? That earth energy can be really heavy if it's not working, if it's not in balance and alignment, right? So what feels heavy and burdensome? Are there responsibilities that you've been carrying? Maybe these responsibilities are not meant to be yours anymore. All right. Maybe they were never meant to be yours. So how can you be kinder to your own energy by changing what you hold yourself responsible to? And I see this as being maybe a major paradigm shift of like, wow, I have thought my whole life that I had to be responsible to this thing or this person or this plan. And I realized during this Mercury retrograde, I actually don't have to be doing that anymore. I don't have to be weighed down by that anymore, right? And it can lead to quite a sense of freedom as we're releasing what feels most heavy and burdensome in our lives. There's also an invitation to really look at your daily rituals, your daily patterns, and how do you maybe want to change these? Or how can you bring more joy and wonder and inspiration into your daily routines? Is there something in your daily routines that needs to change so you can feel more healthy all the time? Or so that you can fit in, bringing this together with the Venus retrograde, so that you can fit in maybe some self-love or self-care routines or habits that you haven't allowed yourself to do before, right? That would be really important to reflect on and see what comes through for you around that right now. There's also at the deeper level of Virgo, especially as the sun is there highlighting this sign, and Mercury is there inviting us into this retrograde reconsideration of things. Is there some aspect of sacredness or ritual that you are longing to bring into your life? Is there something about connecting with the earth, connecting with the ley lines, connecting with sacred sites that maybe you haven't done before and you want to start doing, or maybe you have, but you want to go deeper into it? These are also themes that could be coming up for us around the Mercury retrograde. And it's, again, very interesting that the whole time Mercury is retrograde, Venus will also be retrograde. Wait, am I saying that right? Hold on. No, there's part of it from September 4th to the 15th, it will just be Mercury. But at the beginning of this Mercury retrograde, they both are, Venus and Mercury are both retrograde. So with everything that Mercury is inviting us into about our daily habits and burdens and responsibilities and connection with the earth and ritual, there's something there that's really important about Venus coming in at the same time and saying, what is in your heart? What do you most deeply want and need? Okay. So very interesting interplay and interaction between those two. I would love to hear your thoughts, everybody. What's been coming through for you during the Venus retrograde? And so you can put that in the chat on Zoom. I would love to have you put that in the chat on YouTube as well. What is moving for you? And what are the messages that Venus has been bringing to you so far? Oh, I love the notes in the chat about people realizing what happened 8 years ago. That was really significant, or what you've been doing for the last 8 years. That's really beautiful. Oh my gosh, yes, Lisa, there's so much more to Virgo. It's so deep. It's so profound. I have my North Node in Virgo, so I have studied this extensively, and Virgo is about so much more than just like being an analytical person, which is what often gets put on Virgos, and that's just such a small piece of the picture. Ash is experiencing chaos, people not working with me and not communicating. So that feels like the Uranus square, Ash. And so I would say really pay attention to the deeper messages coming through in your heart from those events. Sounds like these are upsetting or at least inconvenient events. And so really pay attention to what is the deeper message. Is there something that you're meant to change so that you can give yourself more care and self-love and value yourself in a new way? That's what's coming through to me. That feels really important. Sharon says, yes, the sacred sites have been calling me more. Beautiful. Jen says, self-care, self-care, self-care. Yes. And working on courage with my boundaries. Yeah, that's beautiful, Jen. That is super important and definitely Venus related. Jean is saying, learning to accept kindness from others. Yes. Yes, that's so beautiful, Jean. I love that. Let's see here. Stephen is experiencing a physical breakdown. Sure, it's the cosmos redirecting me. Yeah, that sounds like a very Uranian experience that you're having there, Stephen. And I'm sorry that you're experiencing that kind of a breakdown. And I'm so glad that you're trusting, right? It's the cosmos redirecting me. Yes, aho, really trust that. And you can ask the planets, or you can ask your guides, how can I learn the lessons you want me to learn right now even more quickly so I can recover and get back, to my full self even sooner with all the learnings intact, right? And so that can be very helpful. So blessings for your journey, Stephen. Tina says, seeing old patterns and habits being brought forward in a way to release them. Yes, as they are no longer where I want to reside. Beautiful, Tina. Thank you for sharing that. Ina says, 8 years ago, surgery for a cancerous tumor. What a powerful 8-year cycle. Yes. And may the next one be even more healthy, right? And powerful for you. Okay. And let's see, Sarah says, I have carried grief in my family over death of my sister as a baby, and now know it is clearly not mine to carry. Wow, Sarah, thank you for sharing this. So many years I've carried this heavy burden. Now I see her life as sacred. Wow, that's powerful, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing that, and blessings for your new understanding around this. And that may you just be able to fully release that. And this is something to think about, everybody. These burdens that we've been carrying, we are getting increased, very, very increased and accelerated support from the cosmos at this time to really let things go much more quickly than we've been able to in the past. You know, like 2 years ago, 4 years ago, it took a lot of work and a lot of time to like really release something. And we're in a new phase now. Uranus is so active in the sky. We're able to just let things go in a much more rapid way and up level and heal through that in a much more rapid way. So really open your heart to increase levels of healing that you've never imagined, increased ability to let go of what's old patterns, old burdens that you never thought you could release, right? And that it can happen actually very easily and beautifully now. So, okay. Thank you all for your beautiful shares in the chat. And I wish I could read all of them, but I do need to keep on moving here. So I have something really beautiful and exciting to share with you all. And so I'm going to share another screen with you here. Now, if you're finding this astrology really powerful, which I know I am, you know, I think we all are. I think we're living in this time where we are seeing, and particularly since 2020, right? When all the astrologers knew that something crazy was going to happen in 2020 that would change the entire future of our world. And that has continued evolving, and we're seeing that astrology is this amazing predictive tool. Astrology is able to give us much deeper insights, like into the soul levels of what is happening that we can't understand at the surface level. So astrology is this incredible language that we have access to, that we get to use in our lives to more fully understand what's happening. And this is also accelerating our healing, right? When we can understand things at this deep soul level or a deep heart level in a way we weren't being able to see it before, we can just heal so much more quickly, understand the dynamics of it, and move forward in new ways so much more quickly. So with all that in mind, I'm really excited to share that I am opening up the Alchemical Astrology Mystery School Level 2, and it's going to start about a week from now on August 22nd. Now, this is a 5-module course that I hope you'll all join me for, because it's actually, this is going to be such a fun topic. Now, just a little overview about the Alchemical Astrology Mystery School. There will be 5 levels to this in total, maybe 6. I'm thinking about what the 6th one might be actually. But level 1, I taught in December 2022 and June 2023. And now I'm ready to release level 2. Now, you do not have to have attended level 1 to do level 2. The first 4 levels can all be, you can just take it at any time. There's no prerequisites. They're all standalone topics, okay, that you can take when it's convenient for you in any order. It doesn't matter the order. Level 5 will be about astrological magic. And so you will need the foundation of the first 4. But right now, let's focus on level 2. So level 2 is how to work with the benefic planets and positive aspects. And this is a really fun topic because it's all the positive parts of astrology. Level 3 is going to be the malefic planets and difficult aspects, okay? And that too will be very powerful because always it's for our highest evolution. But for level 2, we're working with Venus and Jupiter and the sun and the moon and all these beautiful, beautiful pieces of astrology. Now, I'm going to just put this link in the chat so that you can come here and check this out at your own pace. And here is the link. But if you would like to see me go over it and tell you more about it, then stay right on the line here. Now, as I mentioned, astrology is so powerful for us right now. Astrology holds the hidden secrets that can guide us through these momentous times. And that's because it's the language of the creator. It's the language of the sacred architecture of all things, right? And it encompasses the small, fast cycles that occur in a day or a week. And it goes all the way out to the great long count cycles of 26,000 years and everything in between, right? So it can really tell us what's happening in our world, what's happening individually, collectively. And it is becoming essential, I think, in our world to learn the language, the codex of astrology. And so here are just some of the benefits, right? It's about navigating your own life, knowing the secrets of your own birth chart, understanding your own powerful cycles, what your superpowers are, what your gifts are, and so on. It's also about understanding the collective forces that are moving all of us and creating all these changes, environmental, governmental, psychological, all these huge collective changes that are happening. We can read about that in astrology, right? And I always say that things like astrology and our dreams and these are much more reliable news sources than the 11 o'clock nightly news because that gets very distorted, right? So let's connect in with the real news, the true language of creation. We also can connect in with astrology to the soul of the earth, right? And really understand what's happening on the earth, what's happening for our planet and all of the beings here, right? And including this rising of consciousness that's happening through the earth, it's happening through us. Very powerful to consider. And with astrology, we can see into the future, right? We can choose our timing for when we want to take actions, for when we want to be more in retreat, when we need to make major life decisions. I turn to astrology every single day to see what's coming, to more deeply understand, how to understand these situations. If I'm having a difficult, time with a relationship, I can look at our charts and see like what's really going on here. And then I can approach it from a whole new level. Or if I'm making big decisions for my kids, for example, like where should they go to school or, these kinds of things, understanding their superpowers, understanding their deepest needs can help me to navigate all of that. So there is this rising interest in astrology. And that's why I'm going to offer this series of courses, the Alchemical Astrology Mystery School. And I invite you to come here and just learn more about alchemical astrology. This is bringing in alchemy, which is the art and science of how to turn our darkness into light. And this is really very focused on the opportunities for change and transformation in the chart. If you've attended my courses before, you probably know the alchemical prayer. The alchemical prayer is, dear universe, please send me all of the things that I need the most that I do not even yet know are possible. And that's really what we're looking for in alchemical astrology as we look at the charts, as we look at the transits. And alchemical astrology recognizes that the most profound initiations can bring us the greatest gifts. That has certainly been true in my life, and I'm sure you all have experienced that too, right? So in alchemical astrology, it has a forward orientation. Now we learn from the past because I very deeply have studied the Egyptian way of doing astrology, the original Hellenistic Greek way of doing astrology. And I'm even starting to look into the Sumerian, ways of reading astrology. But we're not dwelling on the past, we're learning from it, but we're really looking to the future, right? And we're looking for things like, what are the largest opportunities for positive change and spiritual development? What are the galactic superpowers of this individual, and how can they leverage these strengths to bring forward what they're most deeply longing for? What are the greatest challenges that this individual must overcome, and what resources are available to assist them with it? What are the primary themes the person will be learning and mastering during this lifetime, and so on, right? There's so much that we read in the chart. So if you are interested in learning more about this level 2 course is a wonderful place to start. I'm going to come back to this. Here's how we'll do it, because I want you to see the curriculum. Here's our live class structure. Now, if you can't attend live, it's completely fine. I will send out the recordings always within 48 hours after every live class. But so in class 1, we're going to look at the sun, the moon, and the fire signs. And I invite you to come here. I'll put the link in the chat again in a minute, but read all that we're going to get into. Remember, this is not the typical standard, astrological look at things. This is alchemical astrology. So we're really focusing on transformation. We're focusing on the deeper layers, the deeper meaning, just like I shared with you, the deeper meaning of Virgo. That's really important. That was the intention of the original astrologers, really 3,000 or 4,000 years ago or more, is these deeper layers of reality, not just Virgo means you're analytical, right? There's so much more to it. So come and take a look at what's included in every class, because I don't want to go through all of the details here on the live call, but you can check it out. And class 2 will be about Jupiter, Venus, and the water signs. And in all of these, you're going to have a chance to connect really deeply with these planets and their powerful, powerful meaning and how they're here to help us evolve into our highest self. And we'll look deeply at each of the different signs. In this module, it's the water signs, which are so powerful. And in every class, we'll end with a powerful shamanic journey and practices to go along with that will be really beautiful and transformational for you. Class 3 is about Mercury, or Thoth, as we have here in the image, right? Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. Mercury, your ascendant and descendant, very important parts of your chart, and all of the air signs. We'll talk about the Mercury retrograde here. We'll talk about why your ascendant is so important in your chart, actually more important than the sun sign. Okay, and then class 4 will be about the North Node, the Midheaven, and the IC, and the Earth signs. And so this is very much about your future and what you came here to do, right? As well as so much more. In this one, we'll talk about the significance of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions moving from Earth into air signs, because that's really big for our time right now. And then class 5 will be about the asteroids and fixed stars. And this is something that you don't normally see in astrology courses, but they're really important. So we have the royal fixed stars. We'll talk a bit about the precession of the equinoxes and how the stars move very differently than the planets. The fixed stars, Sirius and Canopus, the Pleiades. And then we'll get into the asteroids. So there's the asteroid goddesses and Black Moon Lilith, which is actually a calculation, not an asteroid, but she's really important. And what's so interesting is there are thousands and thousands of fixed stars and asteroids. So I'll show you how to look them up, how to find the ones that are significant for you. Okay, so the investment for this, and this program, we're going to go so deeply into the astrology. This program has a value of $22.22. And I was thinking of having the price $15.55, but I've decided, as always, you guys know with me, I always want to make it really accessible. And so you're invited to join and receive all of this for only $777, or 3 payments of $300 each. This is all in US dollars. Really important, please note that registration closes at the end of the day, Monday, August 21st, 11:59 p.m. New York time. So be sure to join by then if you want to be a part of this. I'm going to put the link in the chat once more. And I'm just so excited to share this with all of you. Now, if you're on YouTube, I can't put the link in the chat for some reason. I don't know why that doesn't work. But as soon as we're done recording, I will put the information about the course in the description field of YouTube. So you'll be able to find it there very soon. So let me see what questions you all have. And I'll just note, here are the all the benefits and what you'll receive, okay, in the course. And what's really fun with this course is that we'll have live Q&As every class session where you are welcome to get my reading of your own chart. All right. And so you'll get my focused guidance and alchemical astrology expertise on your chart and what you're moving through at this time. If you can't attend live, don't worry. You can send me your questions, or you can ask for a chart reading in an email before the class, and I'll do it during the recording, and then you'll be able to see your reading in the recording. And you're going to learn so much about the aspects of reading a chart that are unique to alchemical astrology. And it just takes everything to a deeper level and a more transformational level. So the deeper meaning of the planets and zodiac signs, and how the Egyptian, Sumerian, and Hellenistic astrology from the past ties into what we're looking at today. We also pay really close attention to the cosmic timelines, which are the transits, especially those happening in 2023, 2024, and 2025, because they're so big and world changing. And there are more beyond that too, but that's as far, that's what we'll look at in this class. And we look at the future evolution, the spiritual awakening, and the transformation in every single chart. Now, there's so much more here. I invite you to come and check all this out if you're interested. You can read all of this on the page. I'll stop sharing for now. And Rosemary, how long is each session? Yeah, each course session is going to be about 2 hours. Because I have a lot to share with you that'll probably take about 90 minutes, and then we'll have a half an hour of Q&A and where I can give chart readings to everybody in the class. Okay, beautiful, Tina. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions about what I've shared earlier today about the, Venus and Mercury and the new moon, or about the course? I'm happy to answer your questions. Let me check over on YouTube and see if there are any questions over there. Okay, let's see. Yeah, feel free to write your questions, those who are on YouTube Live. And if you're watching later with the YouTube recording, write your questions in the chat, and I will, in the comments below the video, and I will be checking those and getting back to you. Yes, Terry, you get a copy of your birth chart with all of the main asteroids, as well as the planets that we'll be working with in the class. So yeah, let me bring that part back up on the screen, actually, because that might be helpful. That was the here's how we'll do it part of the page. Thank you, Kanea. Thank you so much for attending. So within 3 to 5 business days after you register for the course, I'll send you your beautiful birth chart in PDF format. So you will have that, forever after. It's your birth chart. It's the blueprint of exactly where all of the stars and planets and sun and moon were at the moment you drew your first breath, right? So this is your sacred blueprint. And I will have all the important pieces on there, including the asteroids that you don't normally see in your birth chart. And we will meet 5 times between August 22nd to October 3rd. There's a couple times in there where we'll take a week off, but we'll meet 5 times for these very transformational classes. And I really recommend, you can join this if you're an astrologer. You can join this if you are just beginning to study astrology. You can join this if you have no intention of becoming an astrologer, but you really just want to learn about it for your own benefit, wherever you are in those different different places on the path is wonderful. And you can, of course, continue on to attend the other levels after this class. I'll be releasing them gradually over the next year to year and a half, as far as levels 3, 4, and 5. So if you're interested in that, just let me know, and you can earn a certification as an alchemical astrologer once you've completed all 5 levels in the future. So let me go back and see what other questions you all have. So Valerie, you can start new things between now and the Mercury retrograde. The Mercury retrograde is really the key time each year, and there are 3 Mercury retrogrades each year where we don't want to take too much forward action, where we need to just really pause, because Mercury rules so many things, including, contracts, documents, new agreements, technology, even our mental processes, that when Mercury is going backwards as seen from the Earth, we don't want to take big steps forward. We want to wait and learn during that 3-week time. and then take the action afterwards. But you can do new things during the Venus retrograde. Venus is just helping us to find out what's really in our heart. And if you feel ready, you can take action on it. So Mercury goes retrograde August 23rd. So I would recommend taking any new actions between now and August 22nd, and then taking a pause while Mercury is retrograde from August 23rd to September 15th. So hopefully that makes sense. Branwyn, yes, my tour of Egypt is still open. I believe we have 24 or 25 people signed up now. We have about 30 spaces. We might open a few more spaces. So I do recommend for those who are interested, sign up now, register now, because I do think it's going to fill quickly. I'll just put that up on the screen quickly here, and I'll put the link in the chat because you asked about it. So there's the link. And here is the Egypt tour, Egypt Awakening Our Infinite Potentials. You will get to meet with Sekhmet in Luxor. I'm sorry, in Karnak Temple. You can come here. It will be from January 23rd to February 5th. You can see all the amazing places that we're going to visit right here. So definitely come check that out if you're interested. It is going to be so powerful. And when the Sacred Planet community comes together, these are the most amazing people. You all are the most amazing people. I'm so deeply grateful for all of you. We had the most incredible people showed up for our March 2023 tour that Patricia and I did. And I know it's going to be the same for this one. People are just there, just wholeheartedly there for all the right reasons, and just so kind and generous and compassionate with one another. During, throughout the tour. It was such a beautiful experience. So come and join us if you feel called. It'll be amazing. Let me see any other questions that you have. Let's see. Oh, okay. Interesting. So Valerie, yeah, if there were consultations or tests on August 23rd, I would move that out. Either do it sooner if you can, or move it to September 16th or later once Mercury is fully direct. The days that Mercury changes direction are often very wonky, like really weird things can happen. So August 23rd and September 15th are those days coming up. So I definitely recommend try not to be doing a whole lot of stuff on those days. Take a day of rest because it can get really wonky on those days. All right, Tina, many blessings to you too. Lots of love. Let's see. Marcia is saying, what about August 26th? I have readings and book signings that day. I think that's fine, Marcia. I'm talking about signing a new contract, starting a new business. It's not that you're, I would say if your book publishing official date was during Mercury retrograde, I would reconsider that. But readings and book signings, you're good. The initial pieces that set all that in motion were already done long ago, right? The initial starting points of that were already done long ago. So don't worry, you'll be good. You'll be good for readings and book signings on that day. Yeah, okay, all good. All right, let me just check YouTube one more time for questions here. Interesting. Orania is asking, what does astrology suggest about the phenomenon of sudden deaths all over the world? That's a really profound question. And I think, so I will say there's definitely a lot more to this. I mean, I could probably do an hour talk about that because there's so much to it. This is Pluto being very heavily influencing our world right now. This is also Uranus being very heavily influencing our world right now. And so with those two planets so active, there are some really shocking things and some very life and death themes that are really strongly coming up for us right now, particularly with the Pluto being involved. So that is in there. That is written in there. And, it's a very profound thing. So yeah, maybe that's something I could talk about more at some point too. We could go a lot deeper on that, but that's the quick answer is the strong influence of Pluto and Uranus. Yeah. Okay. Good, Valerie. I hope that was helpful. I'm glad to hear it was helpful. Lots of love to you. Okay, well, I will close the call then. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thanks also to all those watching this over on YouTube later on as a replay. I am sending you all so much love, many, many blessings, and I'll see you.